सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay. Any questions or clarifications from the last class?
Swamiji, I did have one question about the last verse which we covered, which was Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. So in that verse, so when Lord Krishna says Samadarshinaha, it is Sarvatma Bhava, is it? Is that the meaning of Samadarshinaha?
In a way, but Samadarshana is to see everything as the same. Okay? Now, why does he have to say that? Because everything is different. Namarupa, everything is Namarupa. Every Namarupa is different. And if there is no differences, there is no functioning. At the same time, everything is a manifestation of consciousness. So to recognize that consciousness in everything, whatever you are dealing with. Okay? Yeah. Friend or foe, that type relation, not relations, whatever it is. To see that right through. That everyone is like, okay, dealing with the table, consciousness plus name and form. A friend, consciousness plus name and form. My partner in life, consciousness plus name and form. My enemy, consciousness plus name and form. To see the underlying consciousness through everything. That way, You'll clarify a bit more in the next verse also.
So, Swamiji, and just a follow-up question to that. In this specific verse, he has focused on a variety of sentient beings. There is no mention of...
Yeah, he is sort of saying, hey, deal with the sentient first, then we'll talk about the insentient.
Okay. Yeah. But in the true Samadarshana,
everything.
We'll be able to... Everything. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Thank you.
That's why, Sama Loshtashma Kanchana, we have seen it. Remember that verse?
Yes.
Yeah. There is all inert things,
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Any clarifications? Sure, this is a Geeta, so a lot of questions and clarifications can come. Because this is the first text in Vedanta that you are really studying. Okay, then going ahead. Yes, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini. That's the verse we saw last time. Then further elaborating, he says, Iheva tarjita sargaha Yesham samye sitam manaha Nirdosham hi samam brahma Tasmad brahmani te stitaha Ihei taihi jitaha sargaha Sargaha, samsaraha. Okay. Janana marna dukkha. It says, Iheiva, here itself, taihi by them, jitaha. Okay, jitaha. Whom, by whom? Yesham samye sthite manaha. Whose mind is always recognizing or absorbed in the samyam, the same. And what is that? Nirdosham hi samam brahma. When you say samam, what do you mean? Nirdosham hi samam brahma. Brahma which is nirdosham. Nirdosham meaning untainted by anything. Niranjana. That's another meaning of the word Niranjana. To be untainted by anything, untouched by anything. Because it's an independent reality altogether. Okay, different degree of reality also. Therefore, Nirdosham hi samam brahma. Tasmad brahmani te stitaha. Therefore, where is the mind resolved in? In Brahman itself. That means Samya Darshanam, Samadarshanam is to see Brahman everywhere. Because Brahman is the only thing that is samam. Nirdosham hi samam Brahma. Therefore, Samadarshinaha means the one who sees Brahman in everything. Not their names and forms are missed out. That's very important. Okay? Just that when you see a kurta or a dhoti or a shirt, you don't miss out the various names and forms. But you see all of them are nothing but cloth. So similarly here, to see that there is one Brahman in everything, even though Nama Rupa is there for functioning. Functioning depends upon Nama Rupa. Because Rupa is form. Form always follows function. Why do you create a form? In fact, the heart of good design is form follows function. Okay? German engineers stick to this a lot. That's why their designs are very sleek, whatever they make. Very sleek, very, very functional. Because form follows function. Of course, aesthetics is also a function, so you can make the whole thing aesthetic also, because that's also a function, to be pleasing to the eye and mind. So the aesthetic part also comes in. So then that means what? Functioning means Namarupa. For Namarupa to be there, there has to be a locus. If there is a cloth, you can give it a name and a form. If there is clay, you can give it a name and a form. Pot, vase, whatever. If there is no content, there is no Namarupa. So to recognize the content in everything. But our language follows function. Let's look at it. In functioning, we make the adjective of the noun, and the noun becomes an adjective. Golden chain, golden bangle, golden ring. Gold is a substance. Therefore, actually that should be the noun. What is variable or adjective is bangle, chain, etc. But look at the language. Golden bangle, golden chain. So the gold, which is the main thing, has become a secondary thing, adjective. Actually, it should be bangly gold, ringy gold, etc. Chainy gold. So because that happens because language evolved for functioning. Remember, look at the whole evolution of civilization. Language evolved for functioning. Therefore, in functioning, the form becomes important. Therefore, the attention is given to the form. Like Akshay Tritiya last month. Whole of India rushes out to buy gold. This is hijacking of Akshay Tritiya by the jewelers. Like how Christmas was hijacked by the Coca-Cola colors. Santa Claus, his colors were Coca-Cola colors. Actually, old Santa Claus used to wear a color similar to mine, a russet brown color. So similarly, Akshay Tritiya, everyone is buying gold. Though Akshay Tritiya has got nothing to do with gold, it has got to do with Akshay Patra, it has got to do with Parashurama Jayanti, it has got to do with Ganga, what is otherwise celebrated as Ganga Dasara, 2 days. Ganga is supposed to have descended to the earth. Anyway, a lot of stories. But nothing to do with gold. But when you go to buy gold, what are you buying? If you're going out to buy gold, buy a small coin or buy a biscuit, because that's gold, not pure gold. No, you'll always buy a ring, a chain, a bangle, something ornamental. You don't end up buying pure gold. No? Actually, gold should be there as a chunk here. But anyway, it's sold by weight, so it doesn't matter what. The most formless form for gold will be a chunk. Even biscuit and coin is a form. Just a chunk, one lump. But that's not what you're buying. You're buying an ornament. That's why you always pay more. Making charges. But when you sell it back to the jeweler, what happens? He buys only the gold. So anyway, so because all this happens because our attention is on the form. So because our attention is on the form, sometimes we miss the content. At least in gold, etc., the content is known. But in spite of being known, we miss it. What happens with the self, the consciousness, which is the basis for everything? We don't know it only. When you don't know it and you're dealing with functioning, to miss it is the most natural thing. That's why it takes some time to be Samadarshana. Because first I have to recognize it, own it up, see that is in everything, break that pattern. Because even after wisdom, you're functioning in the world. No? Even if you're a literal sannyasi, okay? We are not living literal sannyasi lives. We are living lives in society. So there is a small change in that. Principles are same, but there is a change. No? You also have to deal with the maid, I also have to deal with the maid. Even you don't have to deal with the maid. 3 days my maid has disappeared. 3 दिन छुट्टी चाहिए. बच्चे लोग का holiday है 3 दिन. I mean, you're asking only for 3 days. Come on, you can't say no. Not fair. But you have to deal with that issue. No? If you're a literal sadhu, you don't know where you're staying, you don't have a house to yourself. Idhar bhi chalega. You don't have to deal with these issues. But even then, you still have to function. No? Like when I was in Rishikesh, Bhiksha to jana padta hai. Yeah, minimum. Yeah. Whether it's going to Kshetra for Bhiksha or for Madhukari. Madhukari Bhiksha is when you go house to house. No? So there are various ways of announcing. Yeah. One is you say, Narayana, Narayana. Or you will say, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. Or if you are a Bairagi, Alak Niranjan. You're supposed to be Bairagis, okay? Yeah. Oh, thoda, there also name and form comes into the picture. Okay. Yeah. So the first two look more normal like us. The other two will be, Chandana Lepita, Basma Vibhushita, all that. Okay. Like something like what you are seeing of Naga Babas, etc. Thoda aisa dikhta hai. You look like that. Okay. But in all of them, a minimal functioning is there. No? Morning you'll go for a bath. You wash your clothes. So, basic functioning is still there. So that is why not to miss the content when you are dealing with Nama Rupa. That is Samadarshana. Okay. Yeah. Because you will hear a lot of things in the name of Samadarshana. Being a Samadarshi. Treating everybody as the same. He has not said treating everybody as the same. He says Samadarshana. How do you see everything? Not how do you deal with everything. Yeah. Then you're going to eat the chilka of the orange and throw the orange out. What? Samadarshi after all. Don't eat the orange inside. Throw that out. Eat the chilka. I mean, I know people do dry it up and chop it up and put it into cakes and things like that. That's a different thing. You deal with normal things in the normal way. Okay. So it is not dealing with everybody as the same, because people are different, and you have to acknowledge the difference and deal with them differently. But you have to see the same in everyone. That seeing the same in everyone is Samadarshana. For that, you have to be at home with the fact that you are nothing but consciousness, and the consciousness is the basis for the whole creation. Unless you are comfortable with that, you owned it up, made it a fact of your life, this won't happen. So different views you'll always hear. Like there is a very nice Kavali, I like that. Oh, Shabun is not here today, okay. The Kavali is very nice. Kadri brothers, I think it is. He says, I am a useless character. I'm Makkar, Haram, all that. But तू मालिक है. Addressing the Lord, तू मालिक है. मैं मक्कार हूँ, हराम हूँ, तू मालिक है. You are great devotees, but I am a useless character. Okay. But तू मालिक है, तू समदर्शी है. So, हराम के मालिक तू ही है. Now, haram ke malik has got double meaning in that. Okay. My Lord, because I am haram, you are my Lord. Or haram means all the wrong things and you are the Lord of all the wrong things also. There, the address is on functioning. When I am saying a useless character, what are you doing? You are talking about functioning. No? I do all the wrong things in life. So, what does that mean? Functioning, not what you are. Here, the focus is on what you are. So, to look at the haram character and say Samadarshana means what? To see is also nothing but consciousness. Not to deal with him as a good person, character can be a rogue. Deal with him as how you deal with a rogue. But he is also nothing but consciousness, yes. Now what does it do? It removes all your reactions from you. Your hatred, your anger, your this thing, your disgust, your this. There's a certain tolerance and acceptance. And in dealing with, if you have to be ruthless, you can also be ruthless. You can be kind and compassionate, and you can be ruthless as well. This fact is very often missed out in Vedanta teaching. They'll all talk about compassion, goodness, this, that. Correct? Yeah. But you heard the kind cruelty of a surgeon's knife. He's giving you a lot of pain. The surgeon gives you a lot of pain for what? To heal you. The tumor which is cancerous has to be excised. Clear margins, that means some extra is cut out. Clear margins means what? Some extra is cut out. That's what it means. Yeah. How do you know you got the whole tumor? Not by cutting along the border. Cutting a couple of millimeters around the border. Kind cruelty. So some characters are a tumor in the society, cancerous in the society. Like the perpetrators of Pahalgam. So surgical operation, straight. Yeah. So a wise person is capable of that also. I am not saying every person who can do that is a wise person. That's not what I am saying. But I am saying as a person of wisdom, you need to be capable of that also. Otherwise personality में थोड़ा गड़बड़ है. Wisdom में नहीं रहेगा, but personality में definitely थोड़ा गड़बड़ है. Yeah. And this has influenced thinking in spiritual gatherings also, Like we say, who are the wise people from Mahabharata? We will talk about Krishna, Vyasa, Vidura. No one talks about Bhishma. Though it is true, Bhishma's wisdom was discovered only when he was lying on the bed of arrows, waiting for death to come. Okay? So the time of death. Chalo. Yeah, he was the only person who told death, wait, आ रहा हूँ, अभी टाइम नहीं हो गया. But there is suffering. Yeah, that's suffering. But he is not counted as a wise person. Why not? Because of his ruthless efficiency in battle. Yeah, he is totally ruthless. One battalion every day slaughtered. By today's count, there will be 10,000 soldiers. My God, 10,000 soldiers in one day. Yep. You don't have that type of losses in battle, in modern battles, unless it goes on for months. This is one day. And by those days counts, one battalion was one Akshauni, 1 lakh people. One day. Ruthlessness, efficiency. It is not that he had any hatred for them or something. No. He was just being efficient in what he is doing. Yoga Samat karmasu kaushalam. High degree of competency in what he is doing. But vice versa. Can you accept that? Bhishma was also a jnani. If you look into the Vishnu Sahasranama, who he is the one who gave out the Vishnu Sahasranama the first time. You will say, yeah, he knew the truth. Shankara has written a commentary on it. Swamiji has explained it in his book. So, he is a wise person. But you don't think of him first, because in the society, I think this problem took place especially after Gandhiji. That ahimsa business became overdone. Jain influence, overdone, Ahimsa is being overdone. Because only the first part of that verse is quoted. Ahimsa paramo dharma. First part. Dharmo himsa tataiva cha is forgotten. Ahimsa paramo dharma is correct. But what about the other part? Himsa dharmo tataiva cha. For the sake of dharma, himsa is equally important. But what do you talk about idiotic political leaders who didn't want an army? If Gandhiji and Nehru had their way, we wouldn't have a standing army, only a police force. China would have gobbled up whole of India, like how they gobbled up Tibet. And even in Tibet, that Buddhistic influence of extra ahimsa. 100 years before Tibet was taken over by the Chinese army had attacked Tibet, and Tibetans had actually driven them out. 100 years before the actual takeover happened somewhere in the late 40s, 50s, something like that. I forget the exact date. Getting old, so forget the exact date. So 100 years before that, okay, 19th century, they had attacked and lost to Tibet. What happened in the 100 years? Too much of ahimsa stuff. You weaken, overdoing ahimsa weakens you. As an individual, as a nation, both. And that has to be kept in mind. Okay. Yeah. Studying Vedanta is not meant to make a doormat out of you. And even in the 1950s, the Dalai Lama saw in his meditations that, Dharma Mega Samadhi is called. Thousands of Tibetans being killed. So he concluded, if you fight a war, thousands of us will die. Too much of himsa. There was a Lama with him who was expert in the art of war. Okay. Mignor Sheva Nobu was his name. Mignor Sheva Nobu. He said, no, we will fight them. Okay. But he was overruled by the Dalai Lama and his. And anyway, thousands of people died. No? Thousands of Tibetans were killed. So when you see in meditation these things, it depends on how you interpret. And recently the Dalai Lama said this, we have been praying all our lifetimes but nothing is happening. We should have done something as well. Correct? Not just about praying, it's about doing as well. So what I am trying to say, that Samadarshana is with respect to how you see what is. The Vastu Darshana. Karma is in terms of what the name and form demands. What the name and form demands, you have to respond accordingly. You see the same. Therefore, you can be kind and compassionate, you can be ruthless, you can be loving, you can be stern, you can be firm, anything that is necessary in the situation. Okay, Samadarshana. Tasmat Brahmani te sthitaha. Okay.
Swamiji.
Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah. When we are saying we respond to the function, in the end, I mean, although I know, okay, everything is the same. So then what is the purpose of being Samadarshina? I mean, because in the end, I am responding to the name and form.
Because your freedom from your existential issues depends on you being Samadarshina. Why are we studying this whole thing? Moksha. Freedom from my existential issues. To discover the Ananda that I am. That is the reward. So I can be Ananda when I am loving and kind. I can be Ananda when I am firm. Like when you are dealing with your children, sometimes you have to be firm. And children will try to emotionally blackmail you also. You don't love me, that's why you are doing that. You love them, but you have to be firm, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. So in general life also, you can be firm, you can be there. Yeah. And when you are dealing with a terrorist, ruthlessness, part of the game. Yeah. That's why be careful. There will be other arguments coming, which I've seen it on TV, debate, etc. After all, the Maoists are also our people, our citizens. We should not be ruthless in eradicating them. We should have dialogue. And a dialogue has been going for the last 40, 50 years. What's happening? They're continuing their way. They're using dialogue to regroup and re-establish themselves. So all the rapists and murderers are also our own people. You're going to have dialogue with them. What about that? Counter argument and you. Our citizens, of course they are our citizens. That's why we have a right to punish them. Because they are our citizens. We can hold them on trial. If they are not our citizens, we would deport them. No? Like what we have been doing, taking all the illegal Bangladeshis and dropping them across the border. Why? Because they are not our citizens. Go back. Even we have the right to punish if you commit a crime in our country. Okay. So these type of arguments are leftist arguments to weaken democracy. They're using the limitations of democracy to weaken democracy. So you have to be well informed about that. You can be a Samadarshi, no problem. What is the problem? You'll have compassion for them. Of course you'll have compassion. If someone comes forward to surrender and have a dialogue, you'll always accept them, rehabilitate them. So many have been done also that way. Not that the political leadership has got Samadarshana, but whatever. Samadarshana will only make it easier to do that. Yeah. But in this compassion for the criminal, you have to also be careful. Oh, he has come forward to a dialogue. Can you forgive all his past sins? What about the victims of families whose members he has murdered? What about justice for them? Your compassion doesn't extend to them or what? They have to get justice, no? So he has to serve his time in jail. So that is a question of dharma. The Samadarshanam is there. And then you function according to dharma, whatever. Okay. Then what happens with Samadarshana? Okay, that he is talking about here. Na praharshet priyam prapya, na udvijet prapya cha priyam, sthira buddhihi asammudaha, brahmavid brahmane stitaha. Na praharshet priyam prapya. Not na harshet, na praharshet. Priyam prapya. When you get something you liked. Okay? Now you're looking for a new book. Are yaar, ye purana book. Out of print. Let us take here as a vice person as called. You know, Manasollasa of Dakshinamurti I have seen, but they have also seen there is an old commentary, Prakashatma Yatihi. Abhi out of print ho gaya. Kidhar milta hai? Then he found, oh, Amazon it is there. Wow, he got it. Will he be happy or not happy? Of course he'll be happy. But will he be carried away by that happiness? No. He'll be happy. Hey, good, I got it. Sure. I'll order it. When I get it, I'll start reading that again. I've forgotten half of it. I read it 40 years back. Sure. Na praharshye priyam papya. But harsha, happiness is there. Someone lovingly has made something and giving it to you. And it happens to be your favorite dish also on top of it. Naturally you'll be happy. Pyar se diya hai. Number one. Number two is your favorite on top of that. Pyar se diya is good enough to be happy. Okay? And then it's your favorite on top of that. Naturally you'll be happy, no? It's acha. Thank you. Of course not. That's not going to be a state reaction. You'll be happy with it. Yeah. Na praharshayet priyam prapya. Na udvijayet prapya cha priyam. What you don't want happened. What you don't like happened. Okay. Maid has cooked something. He said, Samji, sabji khatam hai, aam leke aata hai. And you look, oh my God, what are you doing with that lauki here? What are you doing with that Karela? And that also is not Karela fry, it is cooked, bland, with only some salt and turmeric in it. You're not going to say, ah, maja aayega, aaj bandara mila. You're going to say that? But it's okay, yaar, kha lo. Anyway, you're eating too much of sweets this week, it's good to eat some Karela then. Hello. Or something that you really don't want happen. Okay. You're not going to be depressed with that, with a tragic situation. You're not going to be depressed because of that. You're not going to be down in the dumps because of that. Okay. Okay. No. Udvijayet prapya cha priyam. Sthira buddhi. Sthira buddhi. Sthira buddhi. Sita prajna. Sthira buddhi is what? A mind which is very, very stable. The stable mind. Remember, whenever I talk about sthira buddhi, stable mind, it is not the stability of a piece of furniture. Okay. There is the it doesn't move. What is there to be stable or unstable? The stability is like that of a ship in the water, not even a car on the road. A ship in the water. It's always balanced. No? The ship in the water is always balanced. If it is not balanced, it will be sunk. But that doesn't mean it doesn't roll with the waves. Because it rolls with the waves, it is balanced. Similarly, your mind, sthira buddhi, will roll, will be balanced. Because, just because you gain Atma Jnanam, you did not become a Vulcan. You did not become a Spock from Star Trek. No emotions. You're a robot. No, that's not true. You're a human being. Emotions are there. But sthira buddhi. There's a balance in the whole thing. Yeah. Otherwise, someone cracks a joke, you can't laugh. You crack a joke and you have to be deadpan face. Why? Because you can't laugh for a joke. Sthira buddhi. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Some people carry this too forward. Like Swami Chinmayanji was called to Japan, where he was addressing some Buddhist monks. So they are all sitting and listening to him. And he is trying to explain Vedanta to them. And they are just whatever he is saying, this is the expression. No nod, no smile, nothing. Even if he cracks a joke, no smile. So Swami Shinmyanji was saying, because I thought they were not understanding, I was more exuberant in my Kathakali of expressing my body language, expressing, etc. And at the end of it, the monks were asked, how did you like the talk? So one of them said, brilliant scholar. Brilliant scholar. But what a disturbed mind. Array, we are Shantaha in spite of the disturbed mind. We are silence in spite of noise. Next chapter we will see all their meditation on that. In spite of the disturbance, you are at peace. You don't have to be a Vulcan, unemotional to be at peace. Yeah, who said you have to be? If thought is a disturbance for you, you have a nightmare in your mind. You have to remain thoughtless. That means you can't really become scholarly also. Because they believe that any mental exuberance, no, either way, is creating fresh karma. Therefore, don't create fresh karma. We will say, fresh karma, I am akarta, bhokta. Where am I going to create fresh karma? Even if I go and do something, I am not creating fresh karma. Because I am akarta, I don't really do. At the same time, the person is balanced. A certain balance. But you should see the wise people in Vrindavan, etc. Okay? Because Vrindavan there is an exuberance of bhakti. Therefore, they are very exuberant in their expression. So, that also happens. Because you are peaceful in spite of all the exuberance. Your peace is not disturbed by the exuberance. I have a new student. Next lifetime, human birth. Okay, yeah. Okay. Then he says, Bahya sarpeshu asaktatma vindyati atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma. Asaktaha. Not, okay, now asakta means untouched, etc. Okay, not attached. These meanings now are too loaded with a lot of wrong expressions. So I will say one who is not emotionally dependent on the things that he has, the people that are there in his life, the things that are there, not emotionally dependent. Asakta. Bahya sparshesu asaktatma. He is not dependent on them for his happiness, etc. Of course, you are dependent on. If you are feeling thirsty, what do you need? You are dependent on a glass of water or not? Your body is dependent on food or not? Because I am a wise person, I will live on my knowledge and fresh air. Like talking about people and love, we live on love and fresh air. If people are living in love and fresh air, where are they putting on weight when they fall in love? Because they are always eating out, meeting and eating. It's not love and fresh air, okay? Tell that to the birds, don't tell it to me. Yeah. No, Swamiji, we used to go for night walks after that. Good, healthy habit. But you used to have your dinner and go, or before dinner you used to go? Bahya svarsheju asaktatma. One who is not emotionally dependent on things and beings. Okay. Vindati atmani yat sukham. Why is not dependent for happiness in that? Because he is Ananda Sarupa. Atmani yat sukham vindati. Ananda vahamiti. If you are Ananda, are you dependent on external things for getting Ananda? Because I take myself to be a non-Ananda, or if not a unhappy person, generally happy, unhappy, like that, then I want to gain happiness from my experiences, isn't it? Why do you want to go on a holiday? A nice experience. It'll be happy. It'll be nice to see that and happy. Okay. Yeah. So you want to go on a holiday, you want to go on a tour, you want to all that experiences to become happy, isn't it? Where do you want to go out with friends for a meal outside? And your mother will tell you also, अरे घर में इतना अच्छा खाना है क्या बाहर क्यों जाते हैं? Your mother's generation will tell you, why are you leaving all the food at home and going out to eat? It is a shared company, etc. That is the joy of it. So every experience is for Ananda. Why? Because you think you don't have it. If you're already Ananda, you are not dependent on that for Ananda. You can still do it. It will still manifest the Ananda that you are. So the joy that comes from Bahya Sparsha, from an external experience, is nothing but manifesting the Ananda that you are. It helps you to manifest, that's all. So there is nothing wrong in enjoying things outside. The problem is getting dependent on them. So, Atmani yet sukham vindate. Okay. Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Sorry, the previous verse I left out something. Sthira Buddhihi Asamudha Brahmavid Brahmani Sthitaha. The Brahmavid, the one who knows Brahman, Brahmani eva sthitaha, is rooted in Brahman alone. Because Brahmavid Brahma eva bhavati. The knower of Brahman is Brahman. Okay? Not becomes Brahman. Lot of translations you will see that. Knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. No. For if it was becoming, the author would have used the word bhavishyati, future tense. But bhavati is present tense, third person singular. The knower of Brahman is Brahman. Okay? Bhu bhava, to be. In the sense of isness it is used. So bhavishyati would be future, will become. Present tense singular, third person is. The knower of Brahman is Brahman. So Brahmavid Brahmani sthitaha. The knower of Brahman is rooted in Brahman alone. Such a person, Bahya Sparshesu Asaktatma. Why? Atmani Sukham Vindate. You are nothing but Ananda. The correct term would be Anantam. Okay? Anantam meaning limitlessness. When the limitless is manifest in your mind, what will be manifest as? Complete fulfillment. Anando. You cannot take away anything from my Ananda, you cannot add to it. We have seen that before. Second chapter. Apuryam anam achala pratishtam samudram apa pravishanti yadvad. Like the ocean, always full, whether water enters it or doesn't enter it. Ar anandoham, always full. Similarly, once you discover what you really are, you are nothing but Ananda. You are nothing but Ananda. Vindati Atma. Sa Brahma Yoga Yukta Atma. Brahma Yogena Yuktaha Atma. Brahma Jnanena Yukta Atma. Then why yoga is mentioned? It should have mentioned only Jnanam, no? Brahma Jnanena Yukta Atma. Why Brahma Yogena Yukta Atma? Okay. Because in case you need to do some meditation, etc., to own up that knowledge, that's also included. That's also included. Because sometimes to own up. See, you discover knowledge in the learning only. Knowledge happens when you use an appropriate means of knowledge. The appropriate means of knowledge here is Shabda Pramanam, the Veda, the Upanishad, the Geeta. So in the teaching, knowledge happens. But you may not be able to retain it, may not. Therefore, some Nididhyasanam, etc., to own it up. When you're doing next chapter, we will do all that. Okay. So to own up this knowledge, you may require some meditation, etc. Why? Because our minds are not always fully ready to live by this knowledge. Why? Because we don't live by everything we know. Do we really live by anything, No. Street food festival. Yeah, I thought street food, when we grew up, we are kept away from street food. This is all unhygienic conditions. Now, street food festival. अबे क्या कली की प्रभाव है. No, Swamiji, my Bhelpuri wala na is hygienic. Why he makes the chutney with Bisleri water. He uses the same tap water and he makes it. At home you will not drink without boiling it or without an aquaguard filter or something. A UV ray filter. You won't drink that water. But there, Bhelpuri. And have you seen their characters' hands? No, though nowadays sometimes they use gloves. I've seen that also. They're improving. Gloves means a plastic cover. But the whole, what about the matka? That not washed for a month at a time. भाई सब चटनी भरा हुआ है ना, चटनी खत्म होने का है. So how many days has the chutney been there? So we are not living by what we know. That's the idea. We know about hygiene, but do we always live by that? No. We tell a lot of white lies. Of course we tell. We are living in a society. So these things happen. So that integrity is missing. So we are not always, we know I'm Ananda, but I don't live as though I'm Ananda because of this gap. The knower-doer gap is there. So because of that, some nididhyasanam, etc., to own it up, to make a fact of my life. So to include that, he has put this statement here. Yoga. Okay. So for Brahma Yoga. Okay. No, don't say. Otherwise, I have to explain all this. बोलना पड़ता है कभी कभी. Otherwise, somebody listening to this talk will say, that is a yoga I want, Brahma Yoga. I tried Ashtanga Yoga, I tried Iyengar Yoga, I tried Patabi Joyce Yoga, I tried all this yoga. Now I want Brahma Yoga. Isha Yoga also I tried. Now Brahma Yoga. Brahma Jnanam, okay. And owning it up. Therefore, Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Akshayam Sukham Ashnute. Akshayam, that which does not decline. The Ananda that does not decline, Ashnute. Okay. He discovers an Ananda which cannot go away. Experiential Ananda has got ups and downs. That's why any Ananda that you experience, it has a sense of limitation in it, isn't it? Minimum limitation, it will get over. I remember long ago, when I used to go out with friends for a holiday. There was one lady there. From the second, it's a 3-4 day break. Second day onwards, she is complaining. Arey, one day over here. Second day also will get over. Arey, yaar, enjoy what is there now. You come for a 3-night, 4-day break. If there is anything more, we'll start fighting with each other. Of course, you'll get over. You go to heaven, 7th heaven of delight. अरे यार भेलपुरी नहीं मिलता, चाट नहीं मिलता, क्रिकेट नहीं है. Then what? Limitation. We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sweetest songs with some pain is fraught. Correct or not? Some dukkha lesha is always there in any enjoyment we have. Therefore, here it is what? Akshayam Sukham. What is the dukkham when discovering your Ananda? But Swamiji, my experiences are bad. So I'm not saying experiences are happy, but you are Ananda. No? I'm Ananda. So Ananda is going through an unhappy experience. Does that make you unhappy? If you are Ananda, you can't become unhappy because your experience is unhappy. You are a human being put in an inhuman situation. Do you become inhuman because of that? You are still human being. No? So you are Ananda. This is even more so. At least human being is a conclusion that you have made on the basis of your body and mind. Ananda is the reality of what you are. And once you are rooted in that Ananda, and you are going through miserable experience, you are Ananda. Going through happy experiences, Ananda. Going through neutral experiences, Ananda. Going through very sober experiences, Ananda. Going with joyful, exuberant happiness, Ananda. Ananda all the time. Akshayam Sukham Ashnuti. Though again, as I said, your functioning will be different. You are going to a house where there has been a death. You are Ananda. But then why are you going there? To show solidarity with the people. You won't go there. Acha, he's gone, huh? Okay. क्या जन्म है क्या मरण है. What you're saying is true, but inappropriate in that situation. That's not the time to say all that. Well, you will be sober. You will empathize with their grief. Yeah. You will be as human as all of them are. Empathize. You do what is necessary. And sometimes, with all that, they may rise over the occasion also. Like I remember long back, I went to a family. I went to this lady who had lost her husband a few years ago and her 19-year-old son in an accident just 10 days back. All the rituals were just over. So her friend said, Swamiji, will you speak to her? So I spoke, I went on. So after because every week I used to have a class near our house. So after the class I would just drop in for half an hour and come out. Because of the friend who had asked. I didn't know the lady from Adam. No, sorry, I didn't know the lady from Eve. Okay. So after 3 meetings, I said, Swamiji, all this is consolation. I want to know what is beyond all this. I said, come to my class. Time for you. Come for my class. And she came. And next 30 years she has been there in the class. Good student. Are you getting the idea? Therefore, your response will be appropriate to the situation. Again, I will never stop emphasizing this part because I find sometimes some spiritual students in their ignorance not being appropriate in a situation. I remember this lady was very close to her father, lost her father. Her mother-in-law coming saying, rona nahi, usko wapas bulata hai, rona nahi. My hands itched. I'm telling you, really my hands itched. These are the times when I really feel I could express it in more physical terms. My irritation in more physical terms. She has lost someone near and dear. If she has to cry, let her cry. No? It will disturb your father. That is for him to deal with. The father was my student. He will deal with it well. I know what he was. He will deal with it very well. So that is inappropriate behavior just because you think you are spiritual. Spirituality is very often not in your external behavior. It's what you have here and what you have here. I am using a martial art quote, okay? But it is true. Martial art is not about belts. It's what you have here. So similarly, it is not about spirituality. Is not about your external behavior. It's here and here. What you carry in your heart and what you carry. Therefore, okay, akshayam sukham ashnute. Okay. Then little bit guidance in terms of some few insights, guidance in terms of how to get there. That is there, but that we can see next class. Okay, next class we can do all that. Those of you who are attending the Sunday class, okay, there is no Sunday class tomorrow because my youngsters are passing out from the youth group that I have. Their passing out parade is tomorrow. Okay, and so they always feel, Samji, you're not there throughout. You miss so many of our presentations because I go there, then go to take the class, and then come back for the ending. But then in between, I missed a lot of things. You miss mine, you miss mine. It's okay. I said once in a year, na chalo, I'll miss it. Class. So I'll see you all next week. Okay. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Swamiji.